Welcome back, gamers! In this video, we're going to walk through how we hit Masters solo queue in Apex Legends Season 18. Yes, we did it. We did it solo queue. 90% of the games with people without microphones. In this video, we're going to walk you through the 10 tips that are going to get you there. Now, I'm going to assume if you're watching this video, you've already watched our previous videos on the best legends to play, also the tier list for weapons. If you didn't, you need to go to that video first, you need to watch it, and make sure that you prioritize the guns and the legends every game you play. As always, we bring these videos to you every single week to help you improve in Apex Legends Season 18. We're going to continue doing this every week, so it would mean a ton to me if you click that like, subscribe, share this with your friends, and hey, drop me a comment. Maybe you got a question. Maybe you don't. Drop me a comment anyways. Let's be friends. Let me start this off by saying this isn't a tip, but a general rule of thumb is do not expect at any point any of your teammates to care about winning the game and playing strategically to win the game. We've already covered it, but make sure while you're in the lobby that you select the best legend based off of the tier list. If that's all you're playing, you care about winning, select the tier list legend first. The very first tip we have is do not pass the jump master ever whenever you have it. Remember, you can ping if you don't have jump master, but if you have it, hold on to it. Your job is to strategically place your team either near a beacon or somewhere where it's not highly contested. Your main goal when the game starts is to land in a safe, secure spot. Again, make sure your team gets the right guns they need, shields, etc. You do not want to jump into game after game, dropping hot, losing 75 per game. With the rate of the games currently lasting fully 16, 17 minutes, you do not want to be losing 75 points just to enter every single game. The end zones right now are not the safest place to land with the zone moving. Even if there's a beacon there, it's probably still not the best option. You want to land at a POI that is close to the center of the map on either the east or the west side, and that way you can loot and rotate from there. Remember, you're the one that wants to hit Masters, and your teammates probably could care less. So you're going to need to lead the comms positively every single game, even if you get that team that decides to only rat, refuse to fight, or only take fights that are in dangerous spots. You got to make sure you are calming to them non-stop. Most of them are not going to have a microphone, so they'll likely just ping, but you need to make sure that you are driving the momentum behind every single game and you're constantly moving. Always taking a fight is not the best option. You need to know when to move, when to back off, and when to retreat. Again, as we talked, you are playing solo queue, so make sure you consistently take your team to buildings. Buildings are way safer for you to be able to pull off a 1v2 or 1v3 if needed. What will happen is if you get a down teammate in the middle of the open, you're likely spending the rest of your game ratting to the top 5. And in this meta, it's super challenging to make it into those zones. So do yourself a favor and always make sure you take your teammates to buildings. That is going to be the safest spot for you to fight with them. Next up, we got utility. Utility is your best friend in this game. That means making sure you're always stacking an alt excel on top of grenades at all times. Again, running fully on ammo is not necessarily the best option for you. If you are playing a defense or offensive legend that provides a ton of utility, carrying these is game breaking, specifically if you need to use alts within minutes of each other. So always make sure you have plenty of nades and you have plenty of alt excels always in your inventory. Again, your teammates don't matter. We don't care about them. We care about you being prepared to win the game. Although you may not be comfortable, you have to be the IGL and lead the communication. Even if they're not calming back or making the right calls with you, you've got to lead the rush confidently every single fight. So again, this means making the calls on the exact legend you're damaging, what color their shield is, whether they're flesh. You're going to need to make those calls to help your team be able to finish some of these fights. Again, you're going to have to make those calls. Your teammates are not likely going to make those calls. So make sure, if you've not been very good on your communication so far this season, make sure you stay positive. Make sure you do what you can to help them, but you're going to need to make the calls to help win some of these final end zones. The loot stinks this season. You're likely to make it out of a zone without a shield, without the gun you want. So spend at least 20 minutes every single day before you get right in to picking up guns you're not typically using and work on them in the firing range. This means learning the recoil patterns, learning the ammo stacks, etc. But make sure you get in there, practice every single gun, because it's unlikely every single game you will end up with a gun you primarily use. Again, most of the team fights are going to either start or stop because of you. So again, making sure your aim is on top will help you eliminate the first person, giving your team confidence to go in for the push. So although we say Aim's got to improve. It really needs to be top level notch if you're going to solo queue in Apex Legends. This one may be one of the most important ones, is avoid the fights that you don't think your team is capable of winning. If your team is consistently getting fried in a standoff, these are the fights that you may just urge your team to back off or rotate a different manner. You don't want to consistently put them in a position where they're going to lose or they're going to put you down a player. So strategically fighting in the zone and outside the zone is going to be on your calls. There are going to be times where you just simply need to avoid that fight and pick it up later. With that being said, top 10 is most definitely your friend. That's where you want to be in these fights. So do yourself a favor and always play very, very safe until top 10. And you've at least got your entry points back. Now you can start playing them more aggressively and put yourself in a position where you're at least not losing RP at this point. Remember, you don't really gain much each game, so taking a minus 75 on a game where you didn't need to is super substantial. Tip number 8 is compensate your team. That means always give them the shields over yours, give the ping of the weapons they want over you. Your focus is for them to stay alive and win the game. The last thing you do is to take a gun or legend or an item that they need that's going to hinder their gameplay. So always make sure that they are number one with what they need first, because again, you're the one that wants to win, and we can't expect every teammate to want to do the same. This has been the hardest one for me to learn. It is frustrating when I want to win and you're playing with people that don't want to win. So make sure you keep your composure at all times. You never know if someone gets down from not listening that you won't be able to get their card and pick them back up. The last thing you want is them to be tilted at this point, so stay positive. It's very obvious when I get tilted easily, I start losing 200 to 300 to 400 points, and when I'm more polite, even though I take a loss, I feel much better my next game. So make sure you keep this rage to yourself. And the final tip of how we hit Masters of Season 18 is sometimes you just simply have to rat. This means really cutting the loss of your teammates if they refuse to listen, if they go down instantly. There are going to be times where you need to strategically place yourself in a zone where you can at least get top 10. At this point, your biggest focus is on stacking heals versus ammo and grenades, because again, the amount of games that I was either able to win or take top 3 in by strategically waiting for the last 2 teams to fight is huge and substantial in me hitting Masters as early as I did just by myself. Along the way, you're really going to learn which are the best spots for you to play as a solo queue player. And so again, make sure that you focus on cutting those big losses down in half, and you will get to Masters way quicker by not taking huge losses every other game. Instead, strategically put yourself in a position where you can at least gain some points that game and move on to the next. And as always, there's plenty of Discords out there. If you want to find teammates of your caliber level, just ask, but they're out there and you can find those. As always, best of luck to you and hope you hit Masters this season.